Oh. Oh.
I'm okay. I just bring my.
We are live.
Vice.
Okay, Vice Chair, we'll follow your lead.
The December the 9th, 2025 stockholder meeting is now in order. Call to meeting. Guess an invocation comes up. Hey, Heavenly Father, we just come before you right now in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and giving you praise, glory, and honor and thanksgiving. Lord, we need you. We can do nothing without you. Lead, guide, and direct. Ask this in the name of Christ, we pray. Amen.
And
Okay, pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic, and one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Now, we have room for public communication. You have 3 minutes to communicate on whatever's on the agenda here.
Vice Chair Jackson, if it's okay with you, I will do roll call.
Roll call next. It certainly is.
Chair Lara. Vice Chair Jackson.
Here.
Member Hernandez. Member Mata.
here.
Member Orozco.
Here.
Member Rodriguez. Member Van Wyn.
Here.
Thank you.
Now, public communication. Anyone wish to speak?
Before I start, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's to all of you. Okay, was reading the agenda on item, what is it? 4. That you, $6 million want to be, loaned to wherever and then, pay it off on 8 years. That's a little ridiculous for one thing. Another thing, that money wasn't supposed to be going out of the BP money to any place other than the community, to enhance the community. And I really haven't seen no enhancement on the community in the neighborhoods or anything. I have requested shelters for the bus stops. It hasn't been done. I've been asking for that for 5-10 years. But still, we're just sending money out, and that money was supposed to be for a sports complex. I was in Pico Rivera the other day. They're doing a complete upgrade on their system over there they have 800 kids on their sports complex right now, year round. And for us, we need to get the property that we were supposed to get. One of the schools in the school district, it seems like they don't want to do anything about it. I don't know where we're standing on that, but it's getting a little ridiculous that we're using the money that was supposed to be for the community and for the kids and the sports complex. I still haven't seen nothing. We need to start looking at what we're going to take out from there. Police cars, I agree with that. For the parks, I agree with that. But to just $6 million and then pay back in 8 years? No, I don't think so. You as a committee going to have to put a stop to it. They're using you as puppets. I'll be truthful with you. And I hate for or the money that belongs to the community being used for something else. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Any write-ins, call-ins?
No, Vice Chair Jackson, we have not received any additional requests for comment.
Okay. Proclamation and commendation and presentation.
Well, nothing under that category. We can move on to new business if you like.
Sorry, Vice Chair Jackson, if kindly request that you officially close the public communications.
Okay. Now close the public communication.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, the new business is the SOC meeting minutes of October 14, 2025, and revived minutes of May 13, June 10, and August 12th, 2025. It is, we make a motion to accept these minutes. Myself, I would like to postpone it until our next meeting. Why? Because May and June and August, I'm not familiar with it just yet. I don't know about the rest of you, but I would like to postpone and go over those minutes before I approve. Any comments?
I agree. It may so far back. We can table it and have a next meeting, be able to revisit it
Okay.
and put it into,
Now, do we
approval.
vote on that? Okay.
Yes, we'll need a motion and a second and a vote and to table it to next meeting.
Okay. I make a motion that we table it for the next meeting.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to table item number 1 to the next meeting. A motion made by Vice Chair Jackson, second by Member Mata. Member Hernandez. Member Mata.
Yes.
Member Orozco.
yes.
Member Van Wyn.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackson.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Here's your DP sales tax. Financial update.
Yes, good evening, committee chair and members. May I have the update on the screen?
Or Charles, will you please put the financial
Update.
update on the screen, please?
No, this is for item number 4.
No.
The financial update is item number 2.
Yes, number 2.
Thank you.
Rose, I'm looking at my inbox and Charles and I can't locate the PowerPoint that you're referring to about sales tax.
It's not the document I emailed to you to upload. It's the document included in the agenda that Sherry posted online. The-
Rose,
David or
we're checking
Charles?
what's posted on the website and there's nothing for us to pull up, Rose.
Okay, she's going to try to forward it to you, but it was part of the agenda. Yes. Just the agenda only. Okay. Give us a moment and Rose is going to try to forward it to you.
Item 3 first. 12%.
Okay, let's go to item 3 with the vice chair's approval, and we will circle back with number 2. So is there a motion for Pastor Jackson if we could skip item 2, circle back and
I don't know if we need a motion, but we're coming back to it. Okay, so we'll just go to number 3 for the moment until we get the financial update.
okay, thank you very much. David, Charles, if you could please bring up the design, Measure BP Stakeholders Oversight Committee logo design. And as David is bringing that up, and Charles, I think each of you received a hard copy, colored copy of the design. So this is staff's first attempt to come up with a specific design. We would like to incorporate the logo on all promotional material as well as plaques and milestone type of events. So if you could visualize a plaque at the at one of our facilities, we would have the city logo as well as the plaque. So we will go through all 3 concepts. Please do not feel pressure to select any one of them. You could provide us comments, feedback, and we could revise them, or maybe we hit the mark and there is one that you like. So David, if we can move, or Charles, go to concept A, please. Next slide. Okay, this is concept A, which is the Measure BP Stakeholders Oversight Committee logo features a bold blue and gold circular seal with the wording Measure BP Stakeholders Oversight Committee and a gold check mark symbolizing accountability, transparency, and responsible oversight. At the center is a gold ship's wheel representing strong governance, steady leadership, and careful fiscal stewardship. The background features a rendering of the Esther Snyder Community Center, which is probably the marquee facility within the city and in some circles within the San Gabriel Valley, representing public institutions served by the measure. So each logo has a tagline investing in a better tomorrow. And reflects a commitment to responsible investment and long-term community benefit. So this is option A. And if there's no comments, we could go ahead and go to option B and C. And the last image will have all of them together so we can receive some direction. Any comments? If not, we will go to the next option.
Go to the next option.
Thank you, sir. Option B, the Measure BP Stakeholders Oversight Committee logo features a circular blue and gold seal symbolizing trust, accountability, and community stewardship. A central ship's wheel represents leadership and guidance, while the bold check mark signifies oversight and fiscal responsibility. And please keep in mind, all of the logos are influenced by our city logo, which is a hub of the San Gabriel Valley. And once again, as in all three options, investing in a better tomorrow is the tagline. So we could, David, Charles, we can move to the next option, option C, please. All right. Measure BP Stakeholders Oversight Committee logo features a bold blue and gold circular seal with the acronym SOC and a gold check mark symbolizing accountability, transparency, and responsible oversight. As in the two others, this one being the third, investing in a better tomorrow. So these are the three options. In next one, very good. And you could take a look at the screen or take a look at your hard copy handout. We have A, B, and C. So at this point, before I conclude the presentation, I would like to just share with you one more time that what influenced staff is the hub seal, which is a circular seal that we use as an influence. So that is number one. Number two, with some of the wording in terms of transparency, accountable, and the other words that we utilize represents Measure BP Stakeholders Oversight Committee. And we came up with a tagline, which we feel is important: investing in a better tomorrow. So if you feel there is a better tagline, please share with us, or please share with us any modifications that you would like to see. And this concludes staff's presentation.
We probably have 5 different opinions, but I just want to give my opinion on these logos here. I myself like the acronym, the SOC, for a logos. Any other comments?
Actually, that was probably my first choice, but I was thinking of, instead of the O, having the wheel, which is the symbol that is used in our city logo, and then the check mark to be either below, like smaller, or below. They're all beautiful. I think the first one's a little too busy. The second one's a little, I think the acronym SOC is what stood out for me too. But I think if we replace the O with the wheel, that'd be great.
These are great comments. I'm reading that investing in a better tomorrow. Do you feel that is easy to read, or is too italic and we need to simplify the font?
I'll be honest, the investing in, I did think of that. Not everyone can read cursive, and it's not really, I mean, I like the slogan, the investing in a better tomorrow. I think if we had it like in the similar font as what you have.
Okay, then we will take another run at it, and it would be nice to have the other members here, and we could represent this item to the committee because it's very important that we acknowledge the work of the committee. This committee is generating millions of dollars per year. We are going to reinvest it back into the community. We've already invested a tremendous amount of money, and it's just the start of something much larger. But like in everything, it does take time, and we just need some time to make some of these items happen. We have projects coming down the pipeline. We have the Baldwin Park Greenway opening up in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And within the next 4 to 5 months, we have Barnes Park. So it is my hope to include this logo where appropriate. So any other comments? I do think those are great comments, and this is very fluid, and the intent is to get as much feedback possible, so this logo represents the community and is designed by the community.
Well, my 2 cents here, I like the SOC also. I was thinking it was a little empty in the background there to include the hub wheel that you created, or the actual Baldwin Park hub wheel that we actually have. So it bonds us to the city also. The font you already went over. Something a little more simpler on the bottom, investing in a better tomorrow. Everything else I like the check mark. It makes you look and grabs your eye to ask what the SOC is, and then you actually read the logo itself. So something in the background, maybe the hub you created, or Baldwin Park hub in transparent or a different color to grab the SOC acronym there. So
Okay.
that's where I'm at.
Okay, very good. We will jot those comments down, and we will just thinking out loud. We will have 3, maybe 5 options. You provided us great information, and I believe next time around, as soon as we get the last member's input, if you have any input, but we could definitely come back with some modifications. I'd also like to acknowledge staff. This logo was created by one of our staff members. So they took the initiative and created something special. Any other comments?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for utilizing the staff to create these logos, because I know it's costly. Sometimes you need to pay a graphic designer, and we didn't spend any money out of pocket for this. So thank you to the staff for doing this for us.
Thank you very much. These 3 logos could have been upwards of well over 500, if not $1,000, and I'm being conservative. So kudos to our staff member that created this. Any other comments?
Do you have a comment? Do you have a comment?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
No other comments? Then we can move on to the next one. And our next meeting, we will see the modification
Yes, sir.
of this. Okay, good. Okay, then we can move on. Do we have the financial report yet?
Let's see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I found my email and resent it to IT.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Charles, can you bring up the Measure BP sales tax financial update, please? And there you go, technology. All right, Rose, it's all yours.
Yes, again, good evening, committee chair and members. I am here tonight and happy to present you the financial update. As you may see, for the last 4 years, we have received total in revenue in the amount of 18.759 million. And we also incur about $655,000 in interest. It gives us a total of about 20 million as of October. And with the committee's support, we have already had 18 projects and programs that funded under Measure BP funds. We project the ending fund balance with 11.28 millions. I'm not going to go over the details of the 18 projects, and you may see this posted online, and I can always email you any detail you may want to have. This will conclude my financial update. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
I myself would like to see what we have already spent.
Yes.
Uh,
We already
Yes,
spent,
and to whom?
okay,
Could you have IT pull up the,
yes, can you go
List.
to,
is that what you're
Yes.
asking for,
yes,
Pastor?
we have a list of 18 projects and items.
We could go ahead and email that to you. But Rose, do you want to, I think Pastor is inquiring about what has been exhausted. We have money allocated to numerous accounts, but we have not spent
Yes,
too much.
we allocated and committed $8.8 million to 18 projects and or programs. We have spent $1.294 million, and we still have valuable or committed money in the amount of 7.5 that has not been spent yet, but committed to those approved projects listed on this financial update.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
Rose, so the amount has been spent. So, the account that had been allocated but hasn't been spent is in the balance, current balance, or has already been taken out, or the balance of the 20 million?
Is taking out from the 20 million. That's why it leaves us about 11.2 million that has not committed or allocated. We committed about $8.8 million to 18 programs and projects. However, most of these projects are still in progress, not completed yet. That's why we only spent about 1.2 million, and we still have unspent $7.5 million that staff are working to complete it, all those approved projects.
Hi, Rose. The leftover, the amounts that waiting on to be spent, is it already allocated to the department, or is it still in the account and drawn in interest?
They are still in the account, withdrawing interest, whatever have not spent, including the committed $7.5 million.
So
You're welcome.
So once again, for clarification, we have funds that have been allocated, but they have not been spent. The unspent funds are generating interest, and Rose is doing an extraordinary job generating interest where we are able to recycle that money for other projects and services within the community.
Thank you, Manny, for the clarification. Any more questions? By the way, we never let any idle money sit there quietly. We watching it very closely. We make sure it's earning the interest that is there, whatever we can do. Thank you. That's why you see, as of today, we earn over $674,000 in interest, more than $500,000. We watch our cash flow very closely every single morning.
Shall we go to item 4 now?
Before we go to item 4, I have a question. So I know, I believe like a few months ago, it was noted and it was announced to us, the subcommittee, that there was only a budget of like the $6 million that was going to be really allocated or used by the SOC committee, and the rest was going to be, I guess, utilized by the city. So where does that play, or how does that work when we're talking about us having, or the stock bank having a balance of 11.2 million? Is that really belonging to the SOC, or is that already part of now the city of Baldwin Park, since we've already committed 8.8 million, which is more than the 6 million that is going to be allocated to the SOC committee?
Yes, I can clarify that. It is true, last time we provide the SAC information that anything over $6 million that we receive will be moved and transferred to the general fund to cover general operation costs. That can be any general operation costs, including special programs for the committee and things like that. And with that 11 million here, and there are still small portion that over $6 million that we have to transfer to general fund. We will provide a further update in the next meeting, because we are in the process of finalizing our 24-25 annual audit. Once the annual audit is finalized, then we can tell exactly how much is over $6 million from the last fiscal year. We always wait for the audit is completed to make sure that the number is final. Then we will provide a final update to the SAC committee members.
But just for clarification though, if we are capped at $6 million and we've already committed 8.8 million, really, there's really nothing for us to be able to approve and or commit any further. Am I
No,
wrong?
yes, that's
Okay.
not true. The 8.8 million is the total amount for all the programs have been approved by SAC during the last 2 fiscal years. So, for example, during the last fiscal year, we approved about, let me see here. Sorry, give me a second. Boy. Pardon me, just saw something here. Okay, for example, in fiscal year 23, 24, and 24, 25, and also current fiscal year, we approve those projects. It combined in the total of 8.8 million. Doesn't mean you cannot spend any more money. You have no more money to spend. It means you still have about $11 million that is available from Measure BP that you can use to have other programs.
Okay, no, and I got that because you had said it was 18.775 million, right? And we have committed 8.8 million, and out of those, we've only spent 1.2 million, and we still have 7.5 million of what was committed, but
Yes.
has not been spent.
Yes,
And all this is for 18 projects.
yes,
And we still have remaining 11.2 million.
yes.
So can you just clarify then for me and maybe for us, and I don't know if anyone else has questions, where we cap at the 6 million?
Where we kept the 6 million, it's
Like a cap, this is the only thing that we could spend, or it's allocated to the SOC committee.
in other words, almost 18% of this you can spend. And as I mentioned, we still have small amount that I projected after we completed the audit that above the $6 million, because the $3.6 million that we transfer is just very I could say the best estimate that based on the last few years revenue coming in, we want to be conservative. So when we prepare the budget, I just use 3.6 million based on the review of the year end and audit in progress. And I can see there are still couple $100,000 that is above the $6 million from prior year that we can transfer to the general fund. It's not a huge amount.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Rose, on the same subject.
Yes,
So, you saying that in the next fiscal year after you audit, you're gonna move whatever above 6 million into the general fund
from each fiscal year.
from each fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay. When you move it, do you also take into considerations that projects that already been approved and committed and spent partial? Do you count that as the remaining of the balance of the SOC, or does it, or do you don't count that? We start out fresh at $6 million.
We start fresh. For example, this new fiscal year coming, we don't include any projects has been committed. Let's say this new fiscal year, we receive about 6.5 million. We can only move $500,000 to the general fund for general operation. The full $6 million for this year that we receive will add it to the current balance of $11 million, which will be 17 million together to spend. But if we receive, let's say, 5.8 million, then there is nothing to move at all. That full 5.8 million will add it to the current balance. However, based on what I have seen, and most likely every year, we will get at least 6 million unless the economy is going to change dramatically. Now we receive about little bit over $7 million per year. at least for the last 2 fiscal year. And based what we have received currently in the last couple months, I forecast we are going to reach the 6 million and plus.
Okay. Okay. I'll have more questions later, but my mind is turning.
Yeah,
Thank
no problem, anytime. You can always feel free email me too with any questions. Thank you.
One more thing, and I know it's probably repetitive, but just for the record, anything received above $6 million from the Measure BP will be transferred to the City of Baldwin Park General Fund, where the SOC committee will not have a say. Is that correct?
It is true, however, any spending still need to be approved by City Council.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
The excessive amount of fund above $6 million, is it get transferred every month, every day, or is it quarterly? Or is it weekly, monthly? How does it get transferred?
It should be annually.
Annually?
Yes. However, because the budget process that has to be completed at the end of May and need to be approved by City Council adopted prior July 1st, but the audit normally do not complete until the end of December or even January. So by the time when I prepare the annual budget, I use the best estimate for what is over 6 million based what we have already received. So I use the estimate, best estimate, then anything less or more, but most likely not less, should be more because I do transfer based on what we already received, not more than what we received. Then we make up the difference during the mid-year budget review.
Understood.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
My question is, when we started this, I don't remember getting an understanding about an overflow that would be transferred into the general funds. I've felt that what tax money was coming in for the SOC program will go for the program that we have set before us. So this is new. It had happened at the last meeting, which it was kind of like new to me in infiltrating other money into the city council or the general funds.
I'll just add to that. So it didn't happen last month. It was actually a few months ago. And it wasn't part of it may have been part of the agenda or might have just been, it wasn't a discussion about that. That's why it sounds new to a lot of the SOC members, because it was towards the end of the meeting, right before we adjourned, when it was briefly almost just mentioned. And it wasn't the last meeting and it wasn't the one before. It was actually a few before when we still had the previous I think it was like in April. It was right before Enrique left. So that's why it's new to you, because it might have been part of the agenda, but it wasn't a discussion. So you're correct in your statement of we were not aware, the subcommittee members, and when we voted on this, there was no cap amount of 6 million and the rest goes to the general fund. Everything was to be allocated to go back to the community. And, discussed by us, the SOC meeting members, and then approved and sent over to city council for final approval, but there was never a cap mentioned in during the election, during the voting or anything like that, nor brought up before.
It was
Uh-huh.
not in the
It was not.
language of the ballot.
No, not in the language, nor in any discussions before. It was just kind of added to the agenda, but never really fully discussed.
Yes.
Annie, do you have a comment on that? It was.
Yes, I apologize. Can you hear me? So when we, actually the ballot measure itself, the language on there estimated $6 million a year that would be generating from Measure BP. And some of the issues that were brought early on before the stock committee was formed, and when we were deciding as a council and city staff how we were going to create the stake oversight committee was, and this was not communicated by our prior CEO, was that anything, when we were out there at some of the committee meetings, we said we were going to estimate to get $6 million. And I had even told and made comments, and I think Manny was present at some of those times where I said, let's push this to make $10 million a year. I said, and this way, if we can generate $10 million a year, we can push the $6 million into the Measure BP fund, which would be allocated solely for Measure BP. And anything we generate over that, we can transfer into the general fund to help us with the operating costs. And that was something that I pushed for often. And I know Manny's a witness
Yes.
to that, where I've said, let's push this to be $10 million so that we can leave those $6 million in Measure BP and put those other $4 million that were generated over into the general fund to help with operating costs, only because I reviewed the budget from the prior years and I knew that there was going to be operating costs deficits. And so that was something that we had pushed for. And so back in June of 2025, when the city council reviewed the actual budget and we approved the budget, that's when we were discussing, we were cutting programs and we were figuring out which event programs we were going to cut, such as a parade and all of the events that we have. And that's when the city council decided, well, if we're generating over that $6 million mark already, for example, the second year, because the first year we didn't touch because it was so small. The second year, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rose, I believe it was about $2 million that were generated.
Yeah.
And then we said, well,
Approximately.
from that, we will leave $6 million in the Measure BP, and then we will put the 1.2 million towards the general fund. And that's how it became about. But as far as the language itself being on the ballot, it never stated, we're going to cap $6 million. We were just basically saying we're going to estimate generating $6 million a year. The rest of it was more of an internal thing where it was like I was pushing, hey, let's get this into 10 million so that we can have 6 million allocated for the community and put $4 million for operating expenses for the city council's general fund.
However, I want to add comment to that too. This is an additional sales tax that the committee and the resident vote for, and that should be the general fund and belong to general fund. So the language cannot really separate that from general fund. And however, based on the purpose of this Measure BP, and at the city internally, and we set up a fund called Measure BP and 110 to segregate and make it clear, this portion of additional sales tax is clearly generated from this new Measure BP. So instead of recorded in the general fund, like most of the agency, even we in the audit now, when we prepare the audit, you don't have a separate fund for general fund. Measure BP fund is together with the city general fund. But to make it clear to anybody, to the committee and resident, and we set up a new fund internally to segregate it from the rest of general fund revenue we receive. So it makes it so clear to everybody to see where this money come from, how it exactly going to spend.
Excuse me, if I could interject, I think the city of Baldwin Park went one step further. They created a committee to have full transparency. This is a general tax, so it required 50 plus 1%, and we easily met that threshold. So the city created a second, or the city council created another committee to help manage those funds. As Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, I did attend almost every single public engagement meeting. There was numerous discussions, of the $6 million going straight to the committee. Anything beyond that go to the city's general fund. The city has very limited general fund funds. I could give a prime example. We have two hotels in the community that we just recently lost. We have the Motel 6, Grand Park Inn. I'm just spitballing how much money those two hotels generated with TOT tax, and I'm gonna guess about $125,000 that we are losing on a permanent basis. So, and once again, it is a general tax, and anything beyond the $6 million goes into the general fund. Maybe staff at the time did not articulate that as clear as they should have, but it was definitely the intent of staff, because we do not have an auto dealership, much like the city of Almonte or other freeway frontages that are available. Kaiser is a great parcel, but they are a nonprofit, so we generate $0 from Kaiser as a hospital. Now, some of the visitors may come in and eat in the community, purchase fuel, go to Target, Walmart, and so on. So that definitely helps us, and Starbucks. So we definitely appreciate that. But just once again, anything beyond $6 million was always the intent. And I suspect we generated about $7.2 million this past year, using a template of other cities. I think Mr. Rios mentioned city of Pico Rivera, and there's other cities like Montebello. That $6 million can evolve into a lot more than that. $7-8 million consistently would be a great goal for the city.
So my understanding is that we cap off at $6 million. We handle $6 million. Anything over that $6 million goes into the general funds. And the general fund has access to that $6 million plus the general funds that they have, because whatever we vote on, the city has the final say-so on that.
Well, the structure, and Mayor Pro Tem could correct me if I'm wrong, we do not have legal counsel here, but city council is the governing body of the city of Baldwin Park, and they do have final say-so in all, or if not most, matters.
Yeah, so basically the SOC was created to manage and oversee, but there was no cap amount that was ever really discussed until May of when it was presented to us, of which I guess it appears that they had discussions internally or in some meetings, but it was never put in writing. So it wasn't brought to us until May. So you're correct with that.
No, that's what I concur with.
One else.
The question I have, Rose, the $3.6 million didn't come up in the first fiscal year. $3.6 million was a combination of 2 fiscal years. Am I correct on that?
Yes,
So the first year, it was never mentioned to us. Second year, it came to us in the last 10 minutes of a meeting, and it wound up being a $3.6 million windfall for the general fund.
yes.
Okay. So Now, going forward, you're estimating we generate $7 million and the ballpark should have a windfall of about $1 million a year, to the general fund.
Yes, if I could interject with all transparency, I'm going to look at the glass half full. I suspect we would generate approximately $7.2 million. Rose is a finance expert, but looking at other cities as examples and thinking the economy is going to get better. People love Starbucks, and that's a big sale tax producer. So I suspect about 7.2. Rose, is that a fair number?
Yes, it's a very conservative number too.
Yeah, so whether it's 7 million or 8 million or 11 million, regardless, like we're capped at the 6 million. So I think that's what's important. And the reason I wanted to bring it up and have clarification and a little bit of discussion is because we never had that discussion or that open conversation. And it's important because of the next item that we're going to be discussing. I want the public and the community to be aware, one, that we were not aware, number one, of the cap of the 6 million. Number two, it was brought to us, but it wasn't fully discussed.
It was, by the way.
Yes, it
brought
was,
in.
by the way. And so I think it's important also for community, for transparency to the community, to know that we only are here to vote and to kind of be transparent with the community and to help facilitate the 6 million and only the 6 million. So just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page and just for full transparency.
And then if I can interject, Manny, just really quick.
Sure.
And then also in all fairness, you know, you're not sitting here just to look pretty, right? This was something that we made sure that we added on here, but the way the Measure BP tax was passed, it basically, in a sense, 100% of that could have just been deposited into the general fund, because it wasn't a measure where, the money would be allocated to certain things, kind of like when we passed Measure AE bond for the school district, where that money can only be used for certain aspects, right? This was a general fund purpose tax. And so in all honesty, in all reality, the city could have said, we passed this, we generated 7.2 a year. That 7.2 is just going to go straight into the general fund, and then it's going to just be used for operating expenses. What we did was we said, look, we pushed this off for the community. We want to make sure that this money, the 6 million that we're estimating, is going to go back into what the community's priorities were, right? And many of you attended the meetings where the priority, one of the biggest one was public safety. So obviously anything that came with public safety, roads, infrastructure, sports complex, activities for our youth, so forth and so on, right? So I don't want you guys to feel like, oh, we're capped at 6 million. You guys are going to oversee the $6 million a year, right? And that's what you guys are going to be here to, where you guys say, okay, well, where are we going to allocate certain funding to, depending on the needs of the community, right? But I don't want you guys to feel that we're strapped to the 6 million, because I think in any other city, in all honesty, they would have said, you know what, we're not even going to have a stake oversight committee because this was a general fund purpose. So we're just going to, whatever money is generated from the sales tax, we're just going to throw it into the general fund. We decided to go a different route with that. And look, this isn't an easy pill to swallow. And I'm going to be very honest and transparent with you guys, like I've always been from day one, right? But when you're put in a different position in a situation, and I'll go further into this with the next item, there are certain decisions that need to be made, right? And to me, it makes no sense to have a hefty fund, such as Measure BP, with this amount of money on there if the city's burning down, right? It's almost like an analogy where your house is on fire, but you have a few $1 million sitting in a safe, and you can say, well, you know what, I'm going to protect my safe, forget the house, right? We want to make sure that the city is stable enough to be able to continue the programs and the resources, because if not, then there's no point of us having money in Measure BP if we're not going to have the staffing to be able to bring these projects to light. So those are just some of the things that I want you guys to take with you, but I think we'll discuss the next item a little bit further when it comes on.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I also want to elaborate a little bit on the $6 million per year. 6 million times 10 years, $60 million. That is a type of revenue the city of Baldwin Park has never had. And if you times that by 2 over 20 years, that's $120 million. That's like the city of Baldwin Park receiving the ARPA allocation several times over. So it is a tremendous amount of money. You folks have a tremendous amount of responsibility because you are the eyes and ears of the community. And your influence is well beyond the $6 million. You influence the city council, advise staff on where the money is best to be used. So just because you do not have specific oversight of the $1.2 million, you definitely have the ears of all the staff and as well as all the elected officials.
Well, Manny and Mayor Pro Tem, I don't think the issue is at the $6 million.
Yeah.
The issue is not the $6 million.
Right.
The issue is not $6 million. What's important, I say it 3 times. The issue is not the $6 million. It's the fact that it wasn't transparent. It's brought up as a, hey, by the way, before we leave out this door, your cap is at $6 million. That was the issue. The internal conversations that the city council has, we were never there. We voted on after. Right. We don't know that. To us, that's not transparency to us. So please don't make it sound like we are focused on the $6 million. We approved $5 million for the chief with no problem. Right? Because it's for the community, for the city, for the public safety. We understand that. But please do not make it sound like we are hanging on to $6 million. It's not. It
No,
was
and
not transparency from the beginning.
And I don't think that I'm trying to say that, we're hung on the $6 million.
That's what it
Obviously,
said.
that's where we're at. I just think that this should have been brought to you guys from the beginning.
Right.
Unfortunately, it was not. And I can't blame Manny for that because Manny wasn't sitting in that chair. Unfortunately, this was something that should have been brought to you by our prior person that was sitting there. And unfortunately it didn't. And when I had the conversation with him, it was afterwards. And there was acknowledgement that, yeah, this should have been done and not done the way it was. I don't think I was present at the meeting when it was kind of rushed into you guys. That's the way I see it. The only thing I can honestly do is just apologize for the fact that it wasn't brought to you guys the way it should have been brought to you guys from the beginning, the way it was discussed. Now, can we hold anyone here accountable for that? I cannot, because they were not accountable for that. I'll make myself accountable for that and take the place of the person that should have done it. And the only thing that I can honestly do is say, I apologize for the fact that this was not brought to you guys from the very beginning, maybe even from the first meeting that you guys ever had when you were installed. I think that that's the way it should have been done, and it wasn't. And for that, I will take responsibility for it, and I will apologize to you guys for that on that behalf.
We accept your apology, but when we signed on to this committee, we were to be an oversight committee to see that the money goes back into the community. That's where, again, it's not the $6 million or anything, that the money that we receive goes back into the community with the things that we have selected and where the money will be allocated to. That's
Yes, and I don't think there's an apology needed for me as a committee member. I think it is transparency for the constituents and the community members of City of Baldwin Park. Because when me as a community member, not as a SOC member, voted on that measure, I voted to pay that extra tax for my city because I was going to commit to that because I knew it was going to come back to the city, right? And when the SOC committee was formed, whether I was a member or not, when I voted yes on Measure BP, I knew it was going to come back to the community, and it was going to be overseen by a SOC committee. So the apology should not go to the members, at least not for me. I don't need an apology. I just want full transparency to every single person that voted yes on Measure BP. Every single person that voted yes on Measure BP knew that that extra funds was going to go back to the community, overseen by a SOC committee, and that's who needs this clarification, not me as a as a SOC member. The community needs to be aware of that. And I think it's a surprise to perhaps anybody watching or tuning in or whoever is invested in learning about what the SOC committee is doing. I'm sure people will be surprised to know that what they voted for is not really what was going to happen. And when we're talking about full transparency, if we were assigned as SOC committee members to be transparent and to listen to what the community wanted, we heard safety, we heard, you know, sports facility. So we have been giving back to the items. So we heard the community. So I feel that if we would have been transparent from the get-go, maybe the Measure BP would have never passed if community members would have known we're only going to have 6 million overseen by the SOC committee to go to what you need or what you want. Everything else is going to go to the general fund, which I understand everything is the general fund. There's 2 accounts for transparency. And I've been all about transparency, and that's why I brought it up, because I don't think everyone is aware or understands that what they voted for is truly what is happening. And it is not happening, because what we voted for was every single dollar cent coming from the Measure BP tax was going to go back to what the community wanted. And now it's only 6 million is going to what you wanted. In all the meetings we had, there was never a discussion of, you know, so-and-so, by the way, we're going to be capped at 6 million for whatever you're requesting, community members, and everything else goes to the general fund as, you know, for the city of Baldwin Park, which is obviously going back to us because we're community members. But just for full transparency, I think it's important for everyone to know that really we voted on this Measure BP, and the reason it's there is because we thought it was going for one thing, and now we know that it really only 6 million is going for what we voted for, and everything else is going to the general fund. And that's just, you know, my personal feeling. And I think I also am just reiterating, just for full transparency.
Thank you very much. Lesson learned. Staff should have.
I completely agree with Member Mata here. You know, 3 years ago, we sat at the ARC. I asked Rose the exact question: can we make a code for this account? But yes, all the dollars will be accountable in this fund, and this is going to be going forward. And I said, because if it winds up in the general fund, it's going to go in the can of soup, and it's really going to be a bad taste in the mouth to the general public here in Baldwin Park that $1 million went somewhere, but we don't know where it went to, and we're advertising and backing the Measure BP as every dollar will be accountable, and we'll be spending it toward the community, toward community projects, you know, seniors, police department, parks, kids groups, etc. And that's the way I kind of put it out there. And now that there's that $3.6 million, like, not an apology to Danny, but yeah, we sat here for 14, 18 months, approving things, listening to you guys. And then, by the way, $6 million, and the rest is gonna come to the city, and it goes into the can of soup. That's kind of hard to explain when you're out there with people asking, hey, where's the money at? Where's the park at? Where's this at? We tell them we have 18 projects open, and it's hard for the general public to see that. They look at this fund that basically very easy looking at it. There's $1 that was taken out of this general fund or taken out of Measure BP, and now the city gets to spend it any way they want to. They could give everybody raises, they could buy new cars, they could do all this other stuff, and it gives a bad taste to general public. And it wasn't my understanding 2-3 years ago, up until April, May, when this happened. So Measure BP is a good tax for the community. $6 million cap definitely wasn't on anybody's radar. And I definitely want to be full disclosure that I wasn't aware of it until April, May of this year. But going forward, if it is $6 million and it's $1 million going to the general fund, hopefully that $1 million can be tracked to a point where in good faith it's going to the community. That's my 2 cents.
And I just want to just emphasize that, there's been $8.8 million that you guys have already allocated towards the community projects, right? None of the money has been misused for any other purpose. It's been going to things that you guys have approved yourselves. And also, I will reiterate that the community felt they were voting for a sales tax that was going to estimate them $6 million. The ballot never said it was going to have 7.2, 7.3, 7.4. We always had that $6 million estimate. And that's the reason why I made it very clear to staff at that time that we would not touch anything under the $6 million, because that's what the community was voting for, because that's what they saw on the ballot as an estimate generating going back to the community. So in fact, those $6 million, that $6 million amount that we estimated to the community never changed. What was discussed here that should have been brought to you guys early on was that anything that this measure would generate over 6 million would go to the city's general fund for operating expenses. And that is where the issue lies here, where this should have been brought to the committee early on. But the fact that those $6 million that was promised to the community from the beginning it would have been different if we would have said, you know what, we're generating $7.2 million. We're going to leave the SOC with 5, and then we're going to transfer 2.2 million to the general fund. Then it would have been like, wait a minute here. No, the ballot said an estimated $6 million for the community. So therefore that needs to be promised to the community. Again, it would have been different if it would have been 5 that we left you with, but that's the reason why we said we cannot touch anything under $6 million, because that's what was estimated and promised to the community based on the ballot when they voted for it. So that is still there. We're not taking that $6 million that was promised as an estimate to the community. Obviously, it was an estimate because it could have been $5.5 million. We don't know. We were estimating 6. The fact that it's over, well, that's, praise God, that's more money that we're able to use. But I also want to, reiterate to you guys that even though this isn't something that's going to be allocated the way you guys allocated the $8.8 million to the community, rest assured that this is money that is not being misused. Unfortunately, the city has a lot of things that they're handling. And if we don't take care of this, and if this measure would not have passed, I'm going to be very honest with you. If this measure would not have passed, this city would have been bankrupt. Point and simple. I'm not going to put it in any other words, but just in that. If this measure would not have passed, our city would have been in deep financial problems to the point where we would be filing bankruptcy, and we would have to do a reorganization of our debt, because we have capital improvement projects that need to be paid out of the reserves, and then we get refunded, or the grants that we're using, reimbursed us on a 6-month basis later. So if we don't have that money in our reserves, we can't continue the capital improvement projects that are out there. And so what's going to happen is it's going to deteriorate our city, the city that we live in, and it's going to affect the quality of life for all of us. So rest assured that the money that's being used from here, whether it's from Measure BP to the community or the general fund, it's something that's needed to keep the operating expenses going. Because if not, if it wouldn't be for this, we wouldn't even be here to finish the story. Because point and simple, the city would have went bankrupt.
Mayor Pro Tem, also the alternative, by not approving this tax, we would not have this committee today, nor would we be generating these millions of dollars of funds. They would be moved over to the county, and we would not have access to these type of funds.
Yeah, and which is why I think as a community member, I think that's the reason why I voted, and that's why I commit myself to shop here and to make sure we continue investing in our beautiful city. So, again, just I think so we can move on to the next thing before we move on is, I think it was just transparency. So even though it was an estimated amount of 6 million, whether it would have been estimated at 2 million or 3 million, I don't think as a community member, when I'm reading a ballot, I'm going to say, oh, there's going to be a cap. An estimated amount is an estimated amount. I can estimate, us, getting 10 million next year, 12 million next year. That doesn't mean that that's what the community member voted for. It is just an estimated amount that was just put there because it was based on whatever, numbers were looked at when that estimation was given. So it gave hope. And I think it meant a lot to have that estimated amount there on the ballot, which actually, would trigger people to say, hey, there's money. It could be up to 6 million or more. And so I think utilizing that 6 million as a cap, because it was used as verbiage, as an estimated amount, one, could be misleading. Number two, it was just an estimated amount. It did not tell the person that was reading the ballot, this is what amount you should expect that is going to be used for this measure only. It was just simply an estimated amount. It was nothing set in stone. So again, just for full transparency, and I understand everything really at the end of the day comes back to the city, but because the SOC was created on transparency, I think that's where we need to stick. And it's okay to say, you know what, we made a mistake. The city or whoever made a mistake and not being transparent, and therefore now this is what was decided in May, and this is what is going to be moving forward. But again, for transparency, let's just call it what it is. It was put as a ballot as an estimated amount of 6 million. Later on, committee members were selected to oversee the extra funds. There was an account that was created to keep it separate. We were going to ultimately, the subcommittee was going to vote on measures or anything that was presented, and then it was going to be finalized by city council. And then we were surprised with the cap amount of 6 million in May. No discussion, and now, we're having this discussion. But again, for full transparency, there's no apology needed. I think it's just, this is what it is, this is what happened, and then we can just move forward. Otherwise, we're going to go in circles over and over.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go because we're still part of the discussion. In number 4, the request for approval of an international loan and repayment plan from Measure BP funds to partially fund a recent settlement.
Yes, I will go ahead and start the report and turn it over to Rose. This is a very important item. The summary of the report is, this report is to request approval for an internal loan and associated repayment plan for Measure BP to the city to help provide funds to pay a portion of the recent settlement. So the recommendation action being requested is to a $6 million internal loan for Measure BP fund to fund a portion of the recent settlement payment, to approve the 8-year repayment plan to the Measure BP internal loan, and forward the recommendation of approval to the city council at a subsequent city council meeting. Little bit of background of this story, back in the late 80s, and I'm sure you probably saw CBS, ABC, San Gabriel Valley Tribune, Los Angeles Times, that the city of Baldwin Park settled a lawsuit for $19.1 million. This gentleman was in jail for 33 years. 33 years. So the going rate for someone spending a year in jail is approximately $1 million. So they asked for a tremendous amount of more money, but in reality, the city only has so much money to work with. So I think staff did a wonderful job by securing an amount of $19.1 million. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Rose, and she will talk a little bit more about the repayment plan and the money we will be saved by not being charged interest. Rose?
Yes. Hi, Charles. Could you please put up the PowerPoint? Good evening again, committee chair and members. I am going to go through this PowerPoint to provide more information to the committee and to show how this payment plan and recent payment set for the recent settlement payment and the repayment plan. Second page, please. As many mentioned, the city have made a settlement in the amount of $19.1 million. The insurance is going to, their portion is going to be $9.75 million. The city's portion is $9.35 million. And there is an initial requirement payment of $6.35 million by the beginning of this month, and they propose a 3-year annual installment for $1 million each year for the next 3 years. However, will be with a 5% interest on the $3 million installment. Next slide, please. If the city going to just pay the $6.35 million as an initial required payment, and will pay the $1 million for the next 3 years, and the city will incur minimum of $259,000 in interest costs, and it could be more, and it depends on the decision the city is going to make. And also, if we make this simple straight payment plan, and by utilize the general fund reserve, and as you may see, at the end of the day, the general fund reserve will go down to $1.7 million, which is not going to meet the general fund reserve requirement. The general fund reserve requirement has to be at least 10%. Based on our current annual budget, the 10% of general fund reserve will have to be at least $4.6 million. And with that projection, and city staff has make recommendation and bring this recommendation to the SAC and for their input, discussion, and approval. The next page. Next page, please. Sorry. So with this proposed payment plan, that which we believe is the best interest to the city to pay off the full 9.35 million by upfronting this amount from the general fund reserve, which means the city is going to pay this full $9.35 million from the general fund reserve to save $259,000 in interest. And then we come to request, like right now, from the SA to create an internal loan from the Measure BP fund for $6 million to replenish the general fund reserve, which will bring back the general fund reserve to $7.989 million. And more importantly, this will help maintain the city's reserve requirement compliance, support emergency preparedness, and also preserve the city's strong investment grade credit ratings. Currently, we have AA minus and A plus, which is a very, very strong investment credit ratings. We want to maintain that. By using this method, we will maintain this credit ratings, which is very important to the city and also to the community. And we also, by doing this, we also ensure that taxpayers' monies are used as effectively as possible for the benefits of the community. So with that said, we go to the next page. Oh, I also want to emphasize, if the committee approve this payment plan and repayment plan, and the city, we are going to submit this to the city council for their final approval. And if the city council has a final proof for this, then we will transfer the loan to replenish the general fund after the city council's final approval. And this page shows the payment plan. We assume that the city, or estimate that the city will receive 7.8 million based on the average monthly revenue we receive in about $650,000 per month. We can generate about $7.8 million per year. So in other words, we are going to pay $800,000 each year back to the Measure BP fund from the $1.8 million above the $6 million, which means Measure BP continue keep the $6 million. Anything over, which we projected there will be about $1.8 million above $6 million. So we will use $800,000 for the repayment each year. Then there's about $1 million can be transferred and moved to the general fund for the general operations that is needed. This conclude my presentation, and we take any questions or we can discuss this further.
I have more of a statement to make. Is it possible when we have something like this and you're presenting it to the stock committee that we get this before? My brain just doesn't work like that. It meditates and think about what I'm doing.
Oh, sorry.
We're gonna vote on this today, or
I thought this was sent or submit or posted last Thursday.
Electronically.
Everything has been explained, and including the table, the plan is including in the staff report.
missed it there.
However, I take that in consideration. It's very good recommendation. As soon as we finish prepare the report, I can
We
with
could send-
city managers consent, I can go ahead and email the information to the committee members ahead of time, in addition to the posting in the agenda and on city's website.
Okay. The second question that I have, if we reject this today, will the city council override that rejection?
I could,
It might be, it depends how they decided, if they want to let the city general fund go down to a bare bone and not to meet the city's general fund reserve requirement, also which it will greatly impact the the city's credit ratings, which indirectly impact the community too, as a whole, and the city. That's why we think that's the best, one of the all the best recommendation that staff has come up with. We work for a long time and go through many different way and calculations to see what will be the best for the city and how we can effectively utilize the taxpayers' money. And if we don't do this, we go out to borrow money, and most likely will be 7% interest. That the interest can be up to $1 million, not just $259,000 saving for the with this current payment method. Could be much higher if we go out to borrow money, not borrow from the Measure BP.
If we never know what happened, one of the things we do pray for our city, but if something else come up, that would also require Measure BP money. If something else come up similar to this, a lawsuit, or where there's a great amount of money that has to come up, you back up to the stock committee to help build the city?
I guess what's he saying, is this
I
gonna,
understand,
Yeah.
yes. I think,
I could go ahead and
yeah, city
elaborate.
manager can elaborate.
In terms of the city has various options, the SLC committee being one of them. We have access to loans, we have access to other options. We could reduce our overall budget by reducing special events and items of that nature. So this is not our first rodeo, in the sense that back in 2008, 2009, we had a significant shortfall. We were able to weather that storm. So this is definitely a unique situation, but we are trying to navigate as best as possible.
how, let's say, if we do approve, how are we how we make sure that this doesn't set the precedent for the future claims, lawsuits, or settlement, that Measure BP would be the first stop.
Well, I don't think Measure BP is the first stop. We have other options. None of them are particularly ones that we would like to proceed with. This is the best option that we can see, but it's up to the committee here tonight as well as the city council of the direction they would like to proceed in.
I think just a statement, I think we are the first stop, to be honest, and it's not just a feeling, that has been the case several times, where things are presented to us before looking elsewhere, before looking into things. There are things we have not voted on in the past because we don't have all the information, like the bus stops is one of them, we were asked like, first stop, like here, we need all this money. But when we started asking questions, it was like, well, we're still waiting for the report on how that was going to be reviewed and then presented back to us at a future, that's just an example, as a future date. But it seems to me that the proposed repayment plan to Measure BP loan. So let's say this loan gets approved, it gets, utilized to the general fund to help the A+ rating, to help with this lawsuit. The repayment is literally the money that's coming back to the SOC committee, which is why I brought this up earlier, is the estimated revenue of 7.8 is an estimated money coming into what we estimate is going to come for the BP tax. The 6 million that is capped or that is kept for what we are going to vote on remains. The excess of it, which is if it's 1.8 million or anything above, goes to the general fund, and then that's how they're going to repay the SOC. The Measure BP, is literally, it seems here, and I might be mistaken, that the proposed repayment plan to Measure BP loan is basically just circling the money back to us, to the account from the excess of the Measure BP tax for the repayment. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I'm reading here, right? The use of the 1.8 above the 6 million is what's going to be utilized to pay back.
Yes.
So if there is no excess of 6 million, is there going to be repayment?
Instead, the excess of 1.8 million transferred to the general fund for general operation. We propose to use $800,000 of that excess to pay back to the Measure BP fund. Then anything above the $800,000 for the repayment obligation will be transferred to the general fund.
Okay, so I'm correct in what I was thinking, is that anything over the 6 million is going to be the repayment for the loan that the SOC is going to be approving.
Yes,
So in essence, yeah.
and the
So
city
the
has,
answer would be yes, right?
the city, yes, the answer is yes, but please keep in mind, the city has multiple and numerous obligations.
Yes, no, yes. I understand all that. I just wanted to, for transparency, because we're about transparency, the money that is going to be used for the repayment is going to be anything over the 6 million that's already going to the general fund.
Yes.
So that is
yeah.
just going to be sent back to the SOC. So it's just going to go from one account to another account is where I'm getting at. That's number one. Number two, it's going to take many, many years for that to happen. And again, it's still the same money that's coming in. And if we do not generate more than the 6 million, that money, that $800,000 that's supposed to be the repayment is going to have to come from some sort of general fund then, which probably will
Yeah.
be voted by the city council as there's no money, so we cannot repay this loan, and because it's still the same bucket in a sense. So to me, it does feel that it is the first stop, that it is refurbishing the same money that we are telling the community, you're investing in this SOC or in this Measure BP, and now we are going to not only get everything else that's over 6 million, now we are going to ask to borrow from your money or your funds that you currently have. You have 11.2 million. We want to take now 6 million from that, and anything over every year for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years that was supposed to go to you will come back to pay you back for the loan that you're giving us from the money that was already in the SOC
No,
funds.
that what you just said, I need to clarify.
Yes.
What you said before is correct, but not you what just said. Oh, everything what comes to this and go back in by projection.
Mhm.
Even we borrow this $6 million because the $7.6 million come in, the $6 million will all be already replenished that $6 million loan we borrow by the end of this year. And then the $1.86 million, the $800,000 will go back to pay the loan. And the one, it's not touching the $6 million that coming in. I could feel confident that we are going to receive 7 million above.
Mhm.
Even you loan the money to the city general fund, in other words, replenish the general fund reserve. And because the monthly $650,000 coming in, by the end of this fiscal year, we are going to get $7.8 million, which means by the end of this fiscal year, 6 million already go back to replenish the Measure BP fund as a whole. And however, the borrowing, we are going to pay that less than 8 years, because by the end of the last payment time is about $400,000. And with that said, and this payment plan, we create the same table, similar table as in the PowerPoint, and it's posted on the website so anybody, any resident can see clearly how this payment plan works and how the repayment plan works also. And also we have a note there stating, just like what you see exactly here in the PowerPoint.
Rose, if I could interject, you have my assurances. If the city is able to pay this amount quicker, staff will definitely recommend that to the city council, and we will budget accordingly.
So just one more statement. I think it would be good for us to see what other options the city has looked at prior to this first stop of coming to the SOC to save the city. Have we looked at the other options? And if so, can those options be presented to us? So we, just for full transparency, so we are aware that the city is actually attempting to utilize or to look into other options besides
I could,
the
yeah,
subcommittee.
yes, that's a great question. I could share with you two options that we spoke at the staff level. We have one option to secure the necessary funds from our general fund, which we have. And but that will affect our credit rating as well as reducing our funds for operating grants and things of that nature. I'll give an example. We are remodeling Barnes Park. It is a 17+ million dollar project. We are requesting reimbursements every quarter of $3 million approximately. So we need that type of amount of money to work with, as well as payroll and things of that nature. That's one option. And as Rose mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, that would reduce our reserves, affect our credit rating. That's number one. Number two, Rose did look into borrowing funds at approximately 7%. And that would be a tremendous amount of money, additional money that we would need to spend. It's hard enough to come up with the amount of money that we've come up with now to pay interest rate on top of that, roughly 7%, would be very challenging. It would just be a little bit more than what we can handle. So we have looked at several options at the staff level. We also looked at a third option of reducing numerous events and programs and things of that nature, and maybe even possibly staffing, or consultants. So that those are three options, but we felt it was in the city's best interest to approach this committee. And Rose, did I miss any of them?
No, you have mentioned all these. Like you said, it's very, very critical and important to maintain some money in the reserve. Just like Manny said, he just used one of the capital projects. The city, as you may see, I feel so proud of this city. And as you drive through the surrounding city, even though other city have auto dealership, have big mall, this city, the landscaping, the street looks so clean. And in the next council meeting, we are going to recommend for other sidewalk improvement. We continue doing lots of sidewalk improvement, big CIP project, and we have contributed lots of money continually nonstop, building affordable houses. And you can see there are two beautiful buildings close to the metro link. When I look at it, I feel so proud of this city, that how we manage our money, how we can utilize taxpayers' money in a many good way. Without doing this, that you put the general fund reserve in risk, because all those CIP projects, most of them are based on reimbursement basis. We upfront money from general fund to build all those capital projects. When you complete this project, you have to prepare lots of documentation, provide supporting document to the state, to the federal. Sometimes take a couple months to get the reimbursement. And I kind of want to stop me. I don't want to touch the state and federal government, how much time it take them to process the reimbursement. So this is very, very critical for city to maintain a healthy general fund reserve there. Not only talking about last beautiful CIP projects, we are working, we continue at it too. And let's say there is emergency situation happen. We want to have money in general fund reserve, be ready for the emergency situation. That's why we went through many methods. We believe that's the best method that we would like to have the committee to support for this. And we are saving over $1 million in extra interest that we paying to the bank, to other institution by borrowing money. Why we need to spend over $1 million and giving to other bank when our internal funds can help each other to get through this situation?
And I think that's a perfect segue to what I'm gonna say. We are in the position we are with our funds in the general fund because we are not really budgeting correctly. We're probably not overseeing it correctly, and that's why we are in the deficit or in the critical situation of utilizing other funds or asking to borrow or loans and all of that. I think there needs to be more of an oversight internally as far as the, the budgets and stuff.
I'm
Because we're in
sorry.
a very bad situation, it seems
I
like.
don't agree this, like many mentioned, this happened about 30 some years ago.
Yeah.
No one expect this come to us. Suddenly 9 million hitting us. No one expected this. So
Those-
it's not
Yeah.
the budget not done well. As I mentioned, we have managed the money very well. That's why so many beautiful projects happening in this city.
Rose, if I can
Yeah.
interject here, I'd like to add on to what our finance director mentioned. The city has made tremendous amount of improvements over the years. I don't believe it's a lack of budgeting oversight. Staff has been doing a wonderful job. You take a look at all the projects. We earned grants. We are opening up the Baldwin Park Greenway within the next few months or next few weeks, probably within 6 weeks, as well as Barnes Park within the next 5 to 6 months, and a Montenegro Park and Puente Park on Puente, as well as new police vehicles and police officers joining the force. We are almost at full capacity of the unfrozen positions. We should be there hopefully within the next few months. The chief thought we would be there quicker, but I think we are knocking on the door. So staff has done a very good job. I do not feel it's a lack of oversight. It is just basically reality of a $19.1 million settlement with the city's portion of well over $9 million, but not a lack of oversight. At a full transparency, I want to make that crystal clear. It is not a lack of oversight. City Council is doing an honorable job, as well as staff. Per capita, we have one of the lowest staff ratio in the San Gabriel Valley. So when people say do more with less in Baldwin Park, we are not just saying it, we are doing it. So I want you to be proud of your staff, because I am here to validate staff is doing an extraordinary job. And that's not me. That is the staff members as well as the city council. We have we have numerous, if not all award-winning departments and award-winning city.
I want to bring something to the table, and then we can keep going back and forth, but I do want to kind of get it to a close though. Okay.
Yes.
Gotta tell the men upstairs.
The
Uh,
the slide before this one.
Thank
that
you.
one, perfect, thank you. Okay.
Okay, my question is, I run a church, and people donate to the church, and that they donate is what we have to use that money for. we don't use it for anything else but what they have donated it for. And this is my first rodeo with the city and the government. And how do you balance that? Or is it under the same law that what money is given for, using it for that?
Well, I'll ask you a question, Pastor. If you had a settlement within your congregation of, say, $10 million, what would be your option if your insurance policy covers $1 million?
My answer will be a little bit different because I take everything to the Lord and He would deal with that. But I will make a way, however I can make a way to settle the situation. And that's what the city's doing now.
Yes, sir.
And that I do understand. But also we have an accountability to our city. And they voted for this, but I understand.
And Pastor, these funds, if approved tonight, would keep the lights on within the city. It would keep functioning, finance, our beloved police department. This is not going anywhere where it's not supposed to go. This is our basic goals, low-hanging fruit.
Are you done, Pastor?
Oh.
I do have a couple questions. I understand why you're doing what you're doing. So my first question is, let's get to it. In the ballot language, how do we, if we approve this, can the city attorney, confirm that we're not gonna be challenged or claims on misuse of restricted funds? Is this a restricted fund?
No, it is, I could answer this, Rose, and correct me
Is-
if I'm
is it-
wrong. This is general fund money. Once again, the measure was passed by 50 plus 1%. So that goes in the general fund. We have already checked with legal counsel in regards to this matter. We
Okay,
have checked with multiple legal counsels.
right. I didn't. I don't.
Yes, no,
Okay,
that's a
so
great,
I asked.
that's a great question,
Thank
but please have confidence in staff. When we present something to you, we have dotted our i's and crossed our t's.
Well, a lot of times people come up, present, can't answer a simple questions like, have you checked other routes? I'm sorry, I had to ask.
That's a great question.
I don't ask
Thank
for
you.
myself, I ask for people watching on YouTube's, right? So downturns, right? Well, if there's a recession, let's just say 8 years is a long time.
Yes.
If there's the recession, is there anything in place that ensure that SOC Measure BP will be the priority of repayment from the city? Because 8 years from now, you guys might be here, might be not. The next leadership might forget it.
No, if the committee approves this tonight, this will go to the city council for formal approval. And if we cannot meet our obligation to repay these funds, the city would have a larger issue of functioning on a day-to-day basis if we cannot meet this low-hanging fruit of $800,000 a year.
Okay.
And I suspect we might be able to pay it off sooner.
Okay. And then impact, how is this gonna impact what was sold to us and the community as the sports complex? How is that gonna impact the sports complex? Is it gonna postpone it 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, or longer? Because this plan is an 8 years plan. Is it gonna postpone longer? And how's it gonna impact projects that already been approved?
Yeah, wonderful questions. Thank you for asking. Projects like the sports complex take years. I was having a discussion with staff today. I don't believe if and when the sports project transpires, we are probably 5 to 6 years away from breaking ground. I have a meeting, Marie and I have a meeting with the school district, I believe next Monday or a week from this Monday on the 15th. And are going to be looking at a site one more time just to clarify the lines, because I am trying to secure as much property as possible because I want more than just a baseball field. I want a playground. I want restrooms. I want parking, and all that comes with negotiations. So we are definitely going to research all of the options that we have available, but these projects take time. And last item, I don't believe it will affect any of our proposed programs because Baldwin Park has an award-winning track record at securing funds, grant funds, if it's congressional earmark, a state earmark, and or just propositions or measures. Just beginning of the year, city received $2 million to purchase a new park. Maria and her team have applied for near $5 million for Measure A. I do not want to count our chickens before they hatch, but I suspect we will pick up some money there.
And then Manny, if I can just interject really quick.
Yes, sir.
One of the things with the sports complex that you brought up is that's why it's important that we don't lose our credit rating. Because let's just say, for example, we have the site already settled with the school district, which what we're currently working on, and it's going to cost us, let's just say $25 million to build out. We're not going to have the money in either fund to just, fork out the $25 million to do it. So the way we would do it is we would get a bond and then pay that bond off either monthly or annually, which is in a sense a loan to build that sports complex. If our credit rating goes down, we're not going to get approved for that. So that's one of the main reasons why it's very important to not hurt our credit rating.
So I do understand that. Thank you. So team, these are my pros and my cons and whatever you guys decide, right? So we're doing this because we want to avoid excessive borrowing, right? 5% versus 7% that you said?
Probably 7%, yes.
Okay. And then you talk about intermediate compliance and stability that we got from low hanging fruit.
Yes, sir.
And you kept the in-house and immediate structure stability that we can control.
Yes, sir.
But what I got is delay on projects on sports complex. I know I keep drilling on sport complex because that's what we promised. My term is almost done and we haven't done nothing but pay $85,000 for this. I still keep it. We haven't heard anything. Every time we asked about it, we're about to talk to somebody. We're about to talk to somebody, and we're about to talk to somebody. And that creates erosion of trust from the community. I guarantee you that. That will happen.
Yes,
And
it
this-
does take time. I could use the Baldwin Park Greenway as an example. It has been a 20-year, 2-decade project, and we're almost at the finish line for half of it, 2.5. We still have another 2.5 with multiple pocket parks, which I may not be here to see that finished.
Yep. And this, either we agree or not, it's going to set the precedent for the next councils, councils. Hey, let's go to Measure BP for the money. All right. It's going to happen. You can say it doesn't happen, but this will set the precedent. And the repayment risk, I think that is low, but that is one of the concern that I have, the repayment risk, because the next leadership, the team of leadership, 10 years, 5 years, 8 years from now, they might change their mind. They might not prioritize repayment because after all, it is a general fund. We might not
we have obligations. We tend to write a staff report and put it in the records that we will make the repayment and make Measure BP whole again.
Absolutely. All loans need that verbiage, that language.
Yes.
All loans needs it, but loans get defaulted to. And those are my cons that I'm working with. So yeah.
And just to add to that, who knows that if later on, it gets voted on, we don't repay the SOC, the 6 million, it could be, suggested and have a motion and the city council approve for not repaying. So again, and I just want to just clarify, my comment earlier about looking at the budget and transparency is not a personal attack on the staff, not a personal attack on the finance department, not a personal attack on the city manager, city council. For full transparency, I think it needs to be looked at. Where are the expenses going? Where are we spending money? Are we overspending on certain things? What are we looking at? That was my comment more towards that. It was not a personal attack on the staff or what has been done this far in the city to beautify the city. I am a member of the city. I live in the city. I see what we are doing. I see what the staff is doing. The staff is amazing. There's activities. Our city is beautiful. I'm proud to live in the city. So I want the record to reflect that there was not a personal attack, even though it felt as if that's how it was perceived and received. I want to make sure to clarify that that was not the intention on the statement. And I think as SOC committee members, the questions that we are asking is not just merely for us. We are asking the questions, posting the pros and the cons to bring transparency, to bring a discussion, because our community, just like they're looking at the staff, just like they're looking at city council, they did not vote for us. They believed in what we were doing, which is a little bit different. And to me, I think I would feel like a failure to stand here, to sit here, and to just approve everything that's presented without questions, without clarification. And just like our member said earlier, not everything has been, the T's have not been crossed, the I's have not been dotted every single time. And this has no reflection on today's presentation or the one that you probably presented or anyone specific. There have been times where things are presented that don't have the work or the questions, and they're not prepared in a fashion that where we can decide on to approve or even move forward with. So I think giving us a little bit more of, I think, just honesty, and also allowing the respect and allowing the committee members to actually be the voice that you guys, the city council and the city selected us to, well, actually it was lottery, but you got what you got. But we are okay to, it should be okay for us to ask questions. It should be okay for us to say our concerns, to question some things. And again, no reflection on anyone in particular. So I just want to make sure that, that is said, because, again, I love my city. I love the staff. I love what is being done in the city, but I also don't want this, what we voted for, to be utilized and used and misused to what originally was supposed to happen. And I do understand things take many years, but we are not promised tomorrow. And let's be real when we're looking at the repayment plans. And again, it's the same money that's going to be circled, and who knows if it's really ever going to be paid back, especially if there's recessions. And honestly, it shouldn't be something that we are questioned if we question something. And that's just,
Absolutely.
my 2 cents to that.
And I'd like to clarify one item. We are audited by multiple auditors, state and federal and independent auditors. So your question in regards to someone taking a look at our books, that is done multiple times a year overall for the entire city as well as for specific programs. Believe it or not, every grant that we receive, even as small as $50,000, we are audited by the state, by the county, by the federal government. So it is a tremendous amount of work. Sometimes as staff, we wonder, is it worth it? Because there's so many hoops that we need to jump through. But nonetheless, thank you for your comments, and I value and appreciate the comments that you ask.
Okay, are we gonna take a vote on this?
Can I interject real fast?
Sure.
So 9.35 is what the city, that's the settle amount that the city's responsible for.
Yes, sir.
The 19.1 cut somewhere else.
The insurance policy contributed $9.750 million.
That I missed. Okay.
Thank you.
One other question, two other questions. So the $6 million, basically the amount you see you need for the 9.35 pay that.
Yes, it is to replenish our general fund, so we have operating funds to operate all of our various programs, especially the large CIP capital improvement programs. We need money to work with, and then we get reimbursed. And plus, we require 10% of our budget for in the reserves to maintain our positive credit rating. We have an excellent credit rating.
$4.6 million that Rose said earlier, the general fund that is needed for the 10%. Correct? Okay. So the $6 million is not only for this problem file we have now, this 19.1, it's to pad the general fund with an extra $1 million, $2 million to make sure we have other projects being paid for and other staff being paid for.
Rose could probably elaborate a little bit more, but I would, out of full transparency, I would not use the word pad. It is flexible funds so we could operate for other programs as well as to preserve our 10% in the reserves. Rose, did I miss anything?
Yes, as you may see in this slide, the 6 million will, from Measure BP will replenish the general fund back to 7+ million dollars, which is little bit above the required 10% general fund. It will help the city to meet any emergency situation and will continue to fund the CIP project that we do with federal grant or state grant with the reimbursement requirement. And also I want to mention and that you might concern, if we are going to be able to, or if we are going to repay the loan. Once the city council approve this, it will become a legal documents, and the auditor will also look into that. And if we don't make the payment, the auditor say what happened. And your loan repayment saying or staff report stating you're going to pay $800,000. If anything comes, I don't want to think that we are not going to get 7 million above. If we don't get that, that means not only Measure BP fund are effective, that means our overall general fund will be greatly impacted also.
Okay, that the reason I'm asking, you asked for $6 million, why not $5 million or $4 million? There has to be a number, you say 6 is the one that makes Ballin Park kosher, everything's on the up and up, we can survive, we can flourish, and we can go forward. So that $6 million has been a thought about number, not a dart on a dartboard.
Yes, I don't want to ask for more. Ideally, we want to have 10 million in reserve fund, but I think 7.9 at this point, at least we meet the 10% requirement and give us room for what we've been doing to upfront the CIP projects.
Okay. I mean, I've seen the city flourish over the last year or so with the money we've been spending. I spoke to the chief and a couple of the officers are happy with their cars, their radios, things are going forward. Things are actually, I could drive around the city like you say and see things. That's why I'm asking if that 7.9, I was doing my figures here, and it is above the 10%, but it's a number that you guys have figured out that will help Ballin Park flourish during this time frame of this. I mean, it's a problem that you guys didn't foresee coming from the 1980s, So I just wanted to ask those questions, and I didn't get the insurance part. That's where I was missing that $9 million, but it is a loan on money that part of the city, and I don't think it's going to affect down the road hopefully our big plan is our sports complex in 5-6 years. And at 5 or 6 years, we can look at 80% of it being paid back at that point already. So I just wanted to ask those few questions. Pastor Jackson.
Okay, we're gonna take a vote on this.
Can I ask one more question? On the repayment plan, why, how did we come up with that amount? Why not look at anything over the 6 million? So if it's the 7.8 million that's estimated, why not repay the excess, the 1.8 versus only 800,000 or 900,000? I don't remember if you could go to the other slide where it has a repayment plan. I don't know if it's 800,000 or 900,000.
$800,000.
So why that number and why not anything in excess? So if we're estimating 7.8, let's say, of coming in for the tax, for the Measure BP tax, why only repay 800 or 900,000 and not that excess of 1 point whatever that would go to the general fund?
Great question. Let's say, maybe 1.9 million or 2 million. We have also put the future inflation and CPI in the consideration of this payment plan. As you may see, everything going up every single year. So as COLA is not only for this city, in order to maintain employees and keep employees in this city, you have to do the same thing like ALR or other agency does, that you provide cost of living increase COLA to employee. Otherwise,
If I could interject, the $800,000 that staff identified, we felt that was recession proof and that we could easily meet this obligation. So that's why I've mentioned several times that we might be able to pay it back sooner, because I do feel the $800,000 is attainable for the city of Baldwin Park.
I like the number. I've seen loans like this on a percentage, and you do 80% and you have a shortfall at 500,000 instead of 800,000. This is an actual number that the city knows they have to reach and pay out. And if they have to restructure something from the general fund, they'll have to do that on that side of the fence. The other side, if you do 80% and you have a shortfall of $600,000-700,000, the repayment is only $400,000-500,000. So I like the $800,000 per. Rated for the $1 million, but it's recession proof. Way to look at it, and I can fall down a hill and remember it's $800,000. So that's my comment on the repayment plan.
Would you like to vote on this now, or would you like to have put it on the docket for next month that we can discuss it? Is this imperative that we get it now? Okay.
So to clarify, we need to vote on it. So if we needed more time, we're not allowed more time. We're being presented something that we must vote on today? Or do we have time to say, we need a little bit more time to kind of look into this, before we vote on it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Manny, but I believe that this is time sensitive.
This is,
To be going to the city council next because this has to be paid now.
yes, this is,
We have 3 months to pay it. It has to be paid. The settlement needs to be paid like now.
this is time sensitive. As staff, we would be open to answering any questions. Rest assured, we've explored all options. We have limited options. I mentioned them earlier. And this is definitely something very crucial to keep the lights on within the city of Baldwin Park.
And the reason I ask is, let's say we must vote today and the vote is unanimous no. That's still not going to meet the deadline. So I'm just playing devil's advocate. So we are being literally almost forced to vote on something that we may not feel ready to vote on. So you'd rather get a no if we're uncertain or unsure than wait a month to review and to have us be assertive as to or certain as to what we want to vote on?
Do you have any, do you have any additional questions that you need staff to clarify and or Mayor Pro Tem is here?
Not at this point. That's why I was asking is, again, full transparency, we are given something that we must vote on today. No more questions asked. It's $6 million that we're talking about. I don't know about everyone else here, but to me, it feels like we're being forced to present something and we're being forced to vote on something, whether we feel ready or not to vote on something. But again, that's me. I'll just
Yeah,
let
I
you.
do apologize for the rush, but this is what I would consider in an emergency obligation. And when it's an emergency, you do not always have as much time as you would like. So this is a crucial item.
Okay.
I mean, I think, oh, sorry. I think, on the side of the fence we're on, or I am, is the verbiage on the actual payback, et cetera, the amount and what the problem is and how that's going to be paid back, and maybe reinsurance, maybe not in the verbiage, that's hasn't even been written yet.
We can definitely incorporate language within the staff report with the advice of our city attorney to make sure the language is strong and clear. I'm sure Mayor Pro Tem will also carry that message back to his colleagues on the city council if this is approved this evening.
Okay, shall we go for it? All right, we're gonna take a vote on it.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Yes, any of you can make the motion in favor or against.
I motion for approval of the loan to the city, internal loan for $6 million.
We have a motion to adopt item number 4. Motion made by member Orozco, second by member Hernandez. Member Hernandez. Member Mata.
No.
Member Orozco.
Yes.
Member Van Wyn.
No.
Vice Chair Jackson.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2. Thank you.
And just to clarify can I make a statement or no?
That'd be at the discretion of the vice chair.
I just want to again clarify that one of the reasons why I'm voting for no is because there's still not full clarity as to what was presented. And, just looking over and reviewing with more time would have allowed us more ability to respond in a different way.
Open discussion for whatever, before we close out. This meeting is now closed then.
Thank you. David, you could turn off or Charles, you could turn off the YouTube account. Also, on a positive note, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Manny, do you have a date for the next meeting? Members are asking the date for the next.
Date of the next meeting should be the second Tuesday in December. I'm sorry, in January. So that would be, if I'm not mistaken, January 13th, 2026. It is always the second Tuesday of the month, excluding this past November, which happened to be Veterans Day.
Thank you, everyone. Wish you all have a happy holidays.
Thank you, Chief. Okay.